So, good morning, everyone, once again. So, we have Richa with us, and I welcome you all again. The goal behind this was, to make full use of lockdown, and here we are with yet another session. Thanks to all of you for joining in every time. This time, I'll just reiterate myself that please type in your questions in question answer box, and we'll take up all of them at the end as per the time continues. So today we present to you Ms. Richa Srivastav, Head VM Puma Group South Region, a NIFT pass out and also an experience of more than 10 years. Richa has been associated with quite big brands like Landmark Group, Madura Fashions, Levi Strauss, Tanishq, just to add some few. So she'll be discussing about merchandising today. And I think we already had a discussion with Ms. Devya about it. Richa will take this further. So, okay, Richa, all what we also had Mr. Nurullah as panelist today, but he hasn't joined as of now. So we'll see if he joins us on the go. Okay, Richa, so I share the screen with you.
All right. I will share my screen.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. A very, very good morning. I hope all of you are safe and healthy, and all of you are working out. And it's very, very important in this time to, not just be physically fit, but also mentally fit. Exercise as much as you can. Again, not only physical, but also mental. So try to be focused and, don't just give up. We are almost there. So, as Shweta mentioned, that I've been in the industry for quite some time, and I see it as a positive thing that I have got the opportunity to work with a lot of organizations of different formats, and that's how I have gained the knowledge that I have today. One benefit that I have gained over a period of my tenure is also working in different roles, not just exploring one side of it, but I've had the opportunity to do design and then execution, and then now I'm again back to execution with along with design. So it's a great opportunity to be in Indian retail. So let's start. So the Indian retail accounts for 10% of our GDP. And when I say that, the gross domestic product is 10%, it's just not the gross domestic product, but it also accounts for the growth rate of the country. So along with the stable government, and with so many of you, with so many of the millennial generation taking up the job opportunity at a very early stage, if I compare to the generation before, which we were, I think we started working a little later in our lives. But I think nowadays people start working when they're 19 or 20, and they start working, they start their career when they're 19, 20, which again accounts to the entire growth of the country. And while I'm talking about VM, and why I wanted to focus on retail, was the reason that everything turns around to business. So it's very, very important to understand, while we are talking about something which is very aesthetical and appealing to the eyes, and it's more about art, the other side of it is that we all are doing for one reason, which is business, which is money. So it's very, very important to understand that how retail in India works, what in what scenario we are, and how everything, the entire environment works towards one thing. So if we don't have a stable government, our value of money goes down. So I would suggest all of you to go and read a little about it, because it really helps to understand the topic even better. So today, India is world's largest, fifth global destination in the retail space, and it all happens when you look at it from the perspective of how our economy has been building up gradually. So today we have giants like Reliance, which all of a sudden entered into retail. And if any one of you follows a little bit of market, you would know that recently Alok Industries, which was literally a sinking ship, has been taken over by Reliance. And you know how Reliance is seeing retail, especially fashion retail, as a big opportunity in India. So and then of course there is Birla, there is Arvind. There are such huge Indian entrepreneurs working towards it. We have a lot of startups, and then they merge out. So you can see Myntra, from where it started. If I see Myntra, they started around 10, 11 years back when I was still in college. And I remember they came to the placement to our college, and they start with a small room. And today when you look at them, they are one of the biggest fashion retail online service in India. So when we look at Puma in context, just in the sports section, we take the market share. We are leading with 30% of the market share in this sports industry. We have knocked Nike, we have knocked Adidas. Our numbers have shown a tremendous growth. We have been on a 22% growth, 2018 vis-a-vis 2019. So in a scenario where there's so many local players, so many international players, Puma is still striving to build a position and maintain that position of number one. So let's see what is the scope of visual merchandising. And I have mentioned it again, and I have said that everything comes down to business. So yeah, VM is a silent seller, and it is the art of silent selling. How it is important to sell is what we do. So if you look at VM, I would say it's part science and part arts, majorly science, I would say. How your store is looking, what is the layout, how your window display is looking. If you can convert a customer to a consumer, it the journey of a customer to a consumer is very important. And then how that consumer becomes loyal to your brand, especially in a scenario where we are standing today. Uh, we have so many ways to shop. We go online, there are a lot of people who go offline, and then in the store they look at their phones, they compare the prices, and then they shop. Then there are a lot of people who first do their research online and then go to the store and then shop. Now there are people who don't know what to buy, so they just enter to the store and they start browsing, which is called window shopping. So in that scenario, how you convert a customer to a consumer, and then a consumer to a loyal consumer, is what VM is largely accountable for. So as I've said, that if a display doesn't sell, it's not VM. So even in Puma, we do monitor right from the window to our storytelling, and we do check all the sales report of every article that we have displayed. And it's not just operations or sales team which is accountable for looking at the business of the store, but even being in VM, we do look at all these details, because
Any problem?
Yeah, I think we've lost connection with her, is it?
designers,
Is it?
we are designers, so we design. Shweta, are you able to hear me?
Yes, yes, yeah, audible now. Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, so if I have to see, how VM is divided into two parts. There's one team which is called the concept or the design team, and the other team is called the execution team. And you know, as I said earlier, I've been part of both. So I have done majorly design in my life, and then I entered, you know, I've done execution. So in 10 years, there's a unbalance of 6 and 4 years, 6 years to 7 years, I've been primarily only into designing. But actually, I started my career with execution. The sheer reason was to understand how to use the materials, where to use, what to do, and then I entered into designing. So, so let me describe for you what is designing and then what is execution, and what are the key responsibility areas of these two cores. So when you look at concept or the word design, you design the window display, you design the collaterals, and you also you know, you have a large say in mannequin styling and what would go onto the mannequin. And you know, and that's how you look at the entire perspective of not only what you are designing is to be designed just with your mind, but also to look at the numbers, that you know what is selling, what is not selling, what is the fashion trend, what is globally a trend, what is the trend in India. It's very, very important to learn all of this. Also, you have to see what is the business direction of your organization. Do you want to focus more on formals, or you want to focus more on casuals, or you know, where is the company strategy lying? So you, all your designs, even the smallest of the collateral, which you know, which you say which you would see a promotional communication like EOSS, end of season sale, sorry, end of season sale. So even for that, it's a lot to do with you know, how the company is strategizing. So all of this stands in a category called concept or the design. And when you look at the execution part, so all the you know, there's a team which does execution, and they are called the regional or the area visual merchandising team. And then they look at the look and feel of the store. So when the store is when there is a proposition of a new store coming up, they get involved in the store layouting. So how the layout of the store will be, what is that the customer is going to see first, what would be your second story, how you are driving the traffic to the store, you know, how the customer is going to walk in your store, all of that, along with the wall elevation that you see. So you know, each article, each apparel counts, and you need to be accountable. As a visual merchandiser, we are accountable for every piece that hits the store. So that wall elevation in itself is a huge chunk, you know, which story and what collection to be highlighted, where and in what manner, becomes your key responsibility area. Now, thirdly, which is very, very important, is budgeting. So while the designer designs everything and sends it across to you, it's very important for you to manage that money, because again, everything boils down to numbers. So how much money are you spending? What is your budget versus the actual? All of that account is to be taken care. So yeah, if you guys thought VM is just about art and designing things which look beautiful, this is the industry. So it's, you know, you start working with a budget and you start working with a constraint. So, and there is no possibility of complaining, because you know, this is how it is. You have a certain amount of money. So even a designer, before he or she starts the designing part, they always consult on the budgeting part. So if I have to do 8 window displays in a year, I would take that budget mark for every window display, and and then we become accountable of you know, which window in the year sells the most. So accordingly, you need to spend and design on it, and then the regional VM would take it forward in terms of if the person can actually you know, control on the cost largely. So um, so if I have to say, you know, uh, one of the most important part, and you would find it in a lot of textbooks and even online, is the layout and the wall elevation, it actually accounts for 70% of visual merchandising. So while we all think that window displays are, the most lucrative part of it, and I want to design that, the 70% of visual merchandising is actually the layouting, the floor layout, and the wall elevations that you design. So it's a huge step. I'm sure a lot of you must be thinking, in this era where internet has taken over, especially now with the lockdown, now that all of us are primarily at home and spending a large amount of time at uh, just with one or two commute, we are not going out, and now that online has opened, we would love to shop online. But what is the role of retail? Is retail losing its charm? So the answer to it is no, no. Even in this era of omni-channel, if you guys are aware of what is an omni-channel, even in that era of omni-channel, this brick and mortar stands right in front of you. And if I have to look at the figures, not only from Puma, but across the industry, while this online is booming, in India, because of the variation in our population, the numbers, the age group, there's a huge growth in retail as well. In fact, Puma last year saw a good growth of 15% like to like, which is in comparison to 2018. If I say, if we had 100 stores in 2018, then those 100 stores grew up by 15% in 2019, which is huge. I must tell you, 15% is huge. Generally, the growth is, a good growth is 7-8%. It's likely 15% was a huge growth for us. So, and one of the sheer example is our Puma 100 feet store. So when you go at this store, you would see why a brick and mortar is so relevant in the times of, in the times of internet and when you have omni-channel across, you have websites, you have mobile applications, and still brick and mortar is doing so good. So the sheer reason to that is that you give a very, very good experience. The five senses that we have, it's actually utilized in a retail environment, in a brick and mortar four-walled shop, rather than buying online. When you shop online, you are only using one of your senses, which is your eyes, right? But when you enter a store, you use all the senses. You hear a good music, so you're using your ears. You see the product, you see the window display, and then you walk inside, which is your eyes. Then you touch and feel the product. Then the ambience, a lot of stores and even Puma has initiated this, that we have a special fragrance to our store. So when you enter a Puma 100 feet store, you will smell Puma, and that fragrance is customized for us. You wouldn't find the same aroma in any of the other store, any of the other brand, I would say. So in that context, you are trying and using all the senses. Taste is one sense which a lot of brand is working towards, and trying to make it work. One of them is lifestyle. So a lot of newer lifestyles, if any of you would have gone to the Kormangla lifestyle, you would have seen they have a Dunkin' Donuts in their lifestyle shop. So while you are shopping, you get a sense of taste as well. So that's how the science behind using all five senses in a store is working, and that's how VM in a brick and mortar environment is bringing alive everything that you see rather online. So I must say that you guys should visit 100 feet, and not only for that reason, but also this is one of the first store in India And I'm proud to say that it's one of its kind in India currently, where you actually get 100% sense of not only offline shopping but also online shopping. So there is a screen, and I've seen a lot of brands doing the screen and trying to make it a omni channel driven store, but they have not been successful. Puma is the first brand who has done it successfully, and we do promise that we um, once you shop anything online, if you can't buy it offline, we would deliver it within 2 working days, and it has been 100% fulfilled up till now. So when you enter the store and you don't find anything of your taste or your size, you can always go online and shop, and there are a lot of details you can see. I mean, once you go to the store, you can experience everything. Your data is kept safely. Then you shop on a big screen, and then you get a tab to shop on a smaller screen where you can fill in your data, which nobody can see. The second most alluring thing in the store is we also have a gaming zone. So yeah, a lot of school kids also come to the store just to play. So you can see that in the motorsports section. So whenever you have time, just drop by, take a look at the store, and I would be happy to hear any feedback. But yeah, largely I know, and I'm very proud of it, that this is the first store in India of its kind, and none of the brands have been able to replicate this. This was also launch of second Puma concept worldwide. So the first store of this sort happened in New York, and within 15 days post New York opening, we opened 100 feet Puma, and it is exactly like New York. So not all of us can travel to New York, but here you can experience the same thing. So when I have to describe, how VM in Puma works, then we know the art of storytelling. So when you enter a store, you would see a lot of stories in the store. So we call it key initiatives and campaigns, but other brands do call it stories or in-store highlights. And there are different terms, brand to brand, it does differ, but the crust of it remains the same. It doesn't change. So when you enter our store, and since we are a footwear driven brand, uh, you will see a lot of stories revolving around the footwear, but you would again those are backed up with a lot of apparel. Like we recently launched this Future Rider collection, and it's a vibrant, colorful collection, and when you look at it, it is backed up with very beautifully with our we call it TFS collection, but again, very very beautifully color coordinated jacket and a pair of pants to go along with it. Again, then there is t-shirts. So there's a good story when you look at it. There's a whole wardrobe shopping which goes behind. So the art of storytelling, that while you are shopping, and then you will see that there's a lot of suggestion that if you want to wear this pant, then why don't you pair it with this jacket or this t-shirt. So there's a lot of wardrobing in this store, and there's a lot of suggestion, fashion statement suggestion, that this would look good with this, and why don't you try this pair of shoes with this t-shirt. So that's one thing. The other thing that we do is we show in order to sell. So while it is very very important to educate customers in in any brand. Puma takes it very very seriously, because our products needs a little bit of more explanation, since we are into performance wear as well. So a lot of us would not know. In fact, I was not aware what is the difference between running apparel and a training apparel until I actually joined Puma. So it's so for every movement that you do, whether you are a yoga person or you are a calisthenics person or you like to hit the gym, there is an apparel for everything. and each apparel needs to be explained to the customer. So for instance, if you see here, there is a bra top wall and there is a legwear wall, where we are trying to say that if you are running, these are the gears; if you are training, these are the gears. Again, the bra tops are also communicated. If can you guys see my cursor? I'm not sure, but yeah, I mean, there are these bra top details which is written onto the tags, and then that's how we educate the customer. So even when there is no sales staff attending the customer, we are the silent sellers. VM is the silent seller, and that's how we are doing our silent selling. So whether you need a high impact bra top, or you need a low impact bra top, or or you need a running tights, or you need a training tights, we are there, and we have already explained. So you necessarily, a consumer does not seek help for a sales associate. So VM then helps in order to sell, and it is also a tool for working, upgrading our sales. So we do a lot of, we call it 360. So we do a lot of cross merchandising. In Puma, the term is called 360, but generally you would read cross merchandising. So what you mean by cross merchandising is wardrobing. So you show a pair of pants with jackets, t-shirts, bags, shoes, socks, whatever you can do to add on to make it a complete wardrobe. The more the better, trust me. But yeah, always remember that it should speak the same language. We do not mix any of the stories. So we don't mix running with a with a casual t-shirt. So this is a rule, this is a thumb rule which is followed across the industry, across the retail industry. So that's how we do it. Where, I mean, when you look at a person, whatever you're wearing to run, you will not wear it to your to your office or to your college. It's the same thing. So if you are wearing a pair of jeans, you would like knitwear t-shirt rather than a jersey, right? So that's how the entire thing is there. And we do a lot of cross merchandising in our store, just to upscale. Now how it helps in selling is, while the customer is actually trying those pair of shoes, we tell them that, sir, when you look at the shoes, it would really be complement with this pair of t-shirt or trousers or shorts. So why don't you try these combinations? And it upscales. So while the person was only probably shopping for 5,000 rupees, with just one t-shirt, I made him bill for 7,000 rupees. So that's the power that VM is using. And the different formats that Puma works towards, and are these. So we have exclusive brand outlets, which is called EBOs. It is further divided into owned and operated, which is, you guys would know, COCO. So company owned, company operated store. And then there is a franchisee store, which is partner store, which is actually COFO. So sorry, POCO. So which is a franchisee owned, company operated. We follow that format, but there are 4 formats: COCO, FOCO, COFO, and POFO also. So the other 2 formats fall in the by brand and the multi-brand outlet section. So when we say by brand, this is a format where in one under one roof you would only see 2 brands. So like in the picture you can see Levi's and Puma, and these are 2 complementing brands. So we have a lot of stores where Puma and Adi is right in the same roof competing each other. So these are called by brands, where you have just 2 brands. And the other format is multi-brand outlets, which we all are aware, where there is a lot of large format stores, which is your Central, Shoppers Stop, and Lifestyle. Then you have a lot of old, people from tier B and tier C would relate to it. You have a lot of big stores like Capsons, Snow White. If you guys know what I'm saying, people from North will be able to relate. Actually, there are a lot of still, a lot of stores with this format called multi-brand outlet. But if I have to narrow down to South, I would say if you guys seen Planet Fashion, that's a multi-brand outlet as well. While there is Pantaloons, Max, all of these are also called large format stores or departmental stores. And Puma does we do materialize in all sort of formats, so you can see Puma probably everywhere. I don't think there is even a single format which we have not touched. So we are present in all the formats. As a mono brand, it was very, very important. And this is the hierarchy. So, Puma, the team is very, very small and compact, and we do help sales and operations to achieve the numbers. And we are a part of the retail team. So, the head VM reports into the retail head, and then there is regional VM and the design team, which reports into the VM head, and then there is visual merchandisers, and we have a assistant concept or a design visual merchandiser, and then there is a cluster VM. So you can see the cluster VM reports into the area VM, and area VM reports into regional, and regionals report into the head. But again, in Puma, the cluster VM doesn't report into the area VM. So this is just a hierarchy chart to explain that that's the level. So when we hire people, they start as a cluster VM, and then they are elevated as area VM, and then they are elevated as regional VM. And I have I've not been very, very long associated with Puma, but in whatever time that I'm with Puma, I have seen a lot of people being promoted in vertical growth and even in horizontal growth. So, there's a lot of cross-functional movements in Puma. There's a lot of, vertical growth. One of the regional VM was elevated as the head VM recently in Puma. So that's one thing that Puma promises and lives up to is you get elevated if you work hard and you deserve it. You would be recognized, that part. So there is a small video where I wanted to show you that VM, apart from the usual things, what else we can do. Shweta, I would need your help. Just let me know if the audio is playing for this or not.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Audio?
Okay. It's visible, not audible though.
Okay. Okay, I'm so sorry for this, but let me just
It's
see.
okay.
Uh,
Shumuka, can you help us with this?
wait, I have changed the setting. I'm just trying it if that also works. Okay.
Is it playing, ma'am?
Yeah. Is it audible now? Shweta, you're on mute. Is it audible? Was it audible?
No, it's not
No, it
audible.
is not audible.
No.
Check the view options and the sound.
Yeah, in that I've selected same as system and same as system. Test speaker and microphone. Switch to phone audio. Okay.
No.
Share computer sound. Shall I do that?
Yeah. Share some.
Okay. Let's see. Audible? All right.
Yes, it's audible.
All right. Sorry. Yeah, so thank you everyone, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you have.
Wow, Richard, that was wonderful. Yeah, let's.
I will.
Okay, so there are some questions which, I mean, related to terminologies. I think people are yet not very well versed with that. So they want to know what is collateral and omni-channel.
Collateral is any creative, which is also called point of sale material. So actually, when you enter the industry, I think it will become more handy. So all these A4, A5 communication that you see in the store, along with the communication kept outside the store on an easel stand, is called collateral. So that's also called point of sale material in VM term, but in a normal language we call it collaterals. And omni-channel, so it's a new term, and it has recently popped in Indian scenario, and I would suggest all of you to to please read a little more about it. But primarily, if you see, omni-channel is one shop destination. So when you enter a store, when you enter a brick and mortar, and you are unable to find your size, a lot of time that happens with all of us. We don't find the size, or probably the size that we like, there is no colorway in that, and we want another colorway. So you can, within that parameter, instead of opening your mobile phone and checking for the application or the website of that brand, you can actually shop from the store, and the store becomes accountable for it. So if I have to say in terms of operationally how it happens is that when you shop online, the money is transferred to another account, which is your online channel. But when you shop in the store, the money is transferred to the store account. So the store is generating revenue while they are while they have a limitation of merchandise in the store. They also have a large article, we say article and SKU is, that would be another term, a variety, probably a variety of clothes that you would see even online. So and then that gets delivered to you within a certain time frame. Every brand promises a certain time frame. So now I've seen a lot of brands promising 5 days, and then it varies. So we have promised 2 days, and we do deliver. So currently it has just been done at 100 feet, and we wanted to see how the response is. And it's been 9 months, and we have been able to do it completely. There's 100% chance that no, I there's 100% sorry, there's 100% satisfaction rate, I would say.
Okay, so Kamlesh is asking, do you think anyone who wants to go into visual merchandising needs a special diploma or certificate?
Ideally, yes. It is beneficial if you get that, because see, if you have a course, you have done a study in that particular field, it is always relevant, and it the organizations also look at all these parameters. But if you are creative, and I have seen a lot of people from marketing jumping to VM. They were into advertising and then they have joined VM. There are a lot of fashion designers who have who have become visual merchandisers, and then there are a lot of visual merchandisers who go to marketing and then start graphic designing altogether. But yeah, it always helps for that kick, to start your career. And also, if you want to stay in the same role for a very long time, so if you want to stay in VM for a longer time and you want to rise on to the hierarchy chart, then yeah, it is important.
Okay. Okay. So Rashnoor asks, so is it necessary to follow the fashion of the brand you work in?
Rasno, this is very, very personal question. So now I have been associated with two very strong heritage brands. One of them was Levi's and the other one is Puma. And in both the brands, there has been a strict policy to wear only Levi's and only Puma. Yes, I do. And apart from that, if I have to say about other brands, see, it's always preferable to wear your own brand. I'll tell you the reason. The reason is, in this era of social media, going up, everywhere, we all are influencers. So we become our own brand influencer. We become our own brand ambassadors. So why not? Your bread and butter is coming from that organization. So I would wear the proud, and I would walk on the street saying I work at Puma and I'm very proud to wear the merchandise. So yeah, but primarily there is no pressure as such from the organization. But yeah, it's your responsibility. And then again, I mean, the brand that you're working for, if you think you can influence other people's decision because you are wearing one of that, yeah, it is always good.
Okay. So uh, what is the difference between VM and a store manager? And every store has a VM, or is it, how does it work?
So especially in I'll answer in two parts. I'll answer Puma related and then I'll answer in general. So when you look at Puma, every store has a store manager, and we have a person. So in the store also, there is a hierarchy. There's a store manager, there's a store supervisor, and then there are sales staff, and then there are stock boys. So that's the hierarchy in a store. And again, the stock boy today, tomorrow can become a sales staff, and the sales staff can become a supervisor, which is assistant store manager, and then the supervisor that can then become a store manager. Now, in this, one of the sales staff or the supervisor becomes a VM champ or a VM captain in terms of Puma. So how we function is, we every month there is one person who becomes the VM captain or the VM champ for that particular month. And why we do it on a monthly basis, there's again a lot of science. We want everybody to learn VM, and this is driven again from the top management that everybody should know VM. It's a very, very important thing, especially when today's service and product story is becoming so important. Buying and merchandising team has overtaken sales team. There were days in my childhood, I've always heard that sales was so important. Everybody used to nail down on sale. And now there are these new career paths which have taken over sales department as well. So merchandising team, or buying team and visual merchandising team, marketing team has taken over a lot of departments, and it's very, very important. So yeah, so we try that every month we train one person, and that person becomes the VM captain. So coming to the second part is, in the industry, if you see, every store has a store manager, and they report into the operations. They don't report into VM. and they either have a VM captain or they have a cluster VM who would travel to only 4-5 stores and would be responsible for only those 4-5 stores. Now, in a large format scenario, which is your Shopper Stop, Central, and Lifestyle, they have a store VM who is actually a design institute graduate, and and then being hired as a store VM, and then then the journey starts from there. Now, the other question, the other part of the question was, what is the difference between a store manager and a visual merchandiser? Is a store manager is responsible for the store. So his sole purpose is the entire take care of stores. So numbers is the first thing, which is business. We say numbers, but business. So they get a target every month. They have to achieve the target. Now, to achieve that target, there is a process, and you cannot deviate from that process. Today, you are, if I say A plus B is equal to C, you have to follow that A plus B is equal to C, because that is what the brand stands for. So then the store manager is accountable for every department. So they are accountable for sales and operations, visual merchandising, merchandising, and even marketing. Then there's a small part in marketing which is called customer relationship management. I wouldn't go deep dive into that, but yeah, this store manager is also responsible for that. They do coordinate with the loyal customers and invite them to the store, which is your CRM activity, customer relationship management activity. So they do all of this, while visual merchandiser only and only focus of us is to make the store look as good and as inviting and as self-explanatory as possible. So right from the facade of the store, I'm not saying window display, please note, we can have another session on what is the difference between all the elements in VM. The facade, which is the outer of the store, and not only the window display, but the signage, the glass, the greenery, the everything, all the details that you see from outside of the store, to your trial room, to till the time you walk outside, your parking space, how your stock room is kept, how your floor is kept, which story is falling after what story. All of this becomes a part of VM, and then VM coordinates with a lot of other departments to make this happen. So any of the brands do not work in isolation. So none of the brands work, that I am in visual merchandising and I will just work, in my team. So we don't have a bubble. There's a big bubble called brand, and we all work inside that brand. So we all interact with each other. So being a visual merchandiser, on a daily activity, I interact with sales and operations and merchandising, and I oftenly interact with marketing wherever need be. So and then projects, sorry, and a daily on a weekly basis, I think projects also. So yeah, so there are two different things: store manager and visual merchandiser. And so a store manager is responsible only for the store. A visual merchandiser is responsible for a set of stores.
Cool. Okay, that is very clear. Okay, what factors do you consider while selecting props, lightings to make it effective display?
So let's dive back on how your brand was coined. So I'm sure a lot of design students can relate to this. There's something called design process, where you are assigned a task and asked to first do your brainstorming, write the keywords, and then come up with a design. So when a brand is coined, any brand for that instance, okay, anything, any brand in this world, or any company which starts with the same thing. So you first design your target market, you design your personality, the ideal customer, what would be your ideal customer, who would shop from your brand. So when you design all of that and you come to a conclusion, then you design your product. So your product is the key, your product is the hero. So if your product is, and now I'm going back to my career, and I'm going back to days of Tanishq. If if a customer is coming to buy gold, now gold is yellow in color, so I want the gold to be seen in warm light. But if a customer is coming to buy diamond and you put a yellow light to diamond, imagine such a disaster. You when you think of diamonds, it's those white glittery things. You can't put a yellow light to it, so it has to be a white light. So the product actually decides what you need to buy. So, and accordingly the prop would also stand. So when I was in my Alan Solly days, I've done a lot of prop designing, and for every prop that I used to design, or for every single thing that I used to design, I used to go back to the brand manual. And every brand has this manual where the entire brand persona is is detailed out, that ideal customer, and they do define this ideal customer probably every 3 to 5 years, because your consumer evolves, your consumer keeps evolving. The millennial generation would not be equal to generation alpha, or your gen X, or your generation C. So all these generations are different, and you need to understand where you are catering to, which consumer you are catering to. So your that identity keeps evolving, and that's how you keep designing your prop. You design for that specific niche market. And then, I mean, I'm not saying that, what a millennial probably likes, I wouldn't like that. Maybe I would like that. My dad would also like it. But the designer's sole purpose is to attract the millennials. Rest other people just come.
Okay. Okay, Sneka Zoya asks, which is the best kind of merchandising? Which is best merchandising?
Snekha, Shoya, you need to be a little more specific. I couldn't get the question on what merchandising
I think she
is.
needs to ask production merchandising or visual merchandising and all that. I think it depends
Okay.
on the rest of the person. What do you say?
Yeah, totally. I totally agree. Though I always believe that you should start your career with execution, because you should get a hands-on the understanding of, how things go, how things work, and then get into production and designing, and then see where your heart lies. You want to do, in these large format stores, you have a lot of opportunity. Now, there are people who are just doing planogramming. There are people who are just designing window displays. They don't do anything else. They just design windows. Their whole sole purpose is to design window. Then there are people who just look at, are things going right or not. There are large formats which are catering to this. But if you want something that you want to do all in total everything, then you might end up in a mono brand like me. So a mono brand is a brand where it has just it has a store and there's only one brand in it. So like Puma is a mono brand. Again, Levi's, Louis Philippe, Allen Solly, Van Heusen, Arrow, Gant, all of these are mono brands.
Okay. A lot of people have asked what is planogram. I think they're unaware.
So every wall that you look in the store is, there are number of, so how many number of shelves, how many numbers of front bar or step bar or side hangs which goes is called a planogram. Now that is designed when you are designing the store. So you need to sit with a team called projects who does the architectural part of the store, and you need to sit with them and tell them that this is what my store planogram is on a large basis. And it might keep changing and evolving, but this is the skeleton of the store which needs to be there. So that is planogram. And wall elevation is when you add merchandise. So planogram is the skeleton, wall elevation is the soul that you add. So wall elevation is merchandise detail and planogram is the picture detail.
Cool. Okay, so in this pandemic era, how is VM going to change? Now, how will you attract the customers now?
Very interesting question, I must say. And who asked this question?
This is from Vibhuti and two more names. I think I just clubbed the questions. 2-3
All
people.
right. So, must say, guys, very interesting question. And, it is when I entered the industry and people kept saying that retail is very quick, very quick. You have to think every day. And I was young, I couldn't relate to what is quick. Why do people keep saying? And now, when I've been seasoned in this industry, I understand what quick means. The the ability to adapt to something is what people say speed. And that is what Puma also, that's one of the ethos that we stand for, speed. So in this era of pandemic, you can actually see all of my stores, Puma stores are already receiving new merchandise. We are already highlighting new stocks, and how we are handling is we are not traveling to the stores yet. But thank goodness to technology. So we do a lot of there's an application called Teams. We do a lot of team calls, or we do a lot of WhatsApp video calls, and we do guide the store. Our dockets have to be detailed than what it used to be, and we do a training before we tell them to set up the store. So earlier it was very easy. We used to go to a store, do a mock setup, make a video, send it to them. Now the same process has been drilled down to the store. So we are doing a training over a video and video call, and then we tell them to do the setup. So probably your topmost stores, you can take them as the example, and once they are set up, you can tell the other stores to follow the same thing. So that is what we are doing, and we have seen a good response. The numbers are coming in, and we were also not sure how customers would step out, not step out, but I would say that thank goodness we all are mature and we all know how to react in this situation. India has shown a lot of strength, and the numbers are already flowing in. We are already in plus everywhere. There is no negative anywhere. So whatever stores which are functional have shown a very good sign in all of this. And yes, we are trying and evolving how to work around the VM captain. Should we change? Should we not change? So there are a lot of decisions which is ongoing and happening.
Okay. Okay. So, do you think, like, as a VM, do you have the permission to take 100% decision?
Yeah, totally. In fact, the best part is all the time you have a say in everything. The best thing is that. So if the buyers are buying and you think the story is not going to work, please be upfront. And it completely depends from person to person. And I have been a very vocal person myself my entire life. And आप लोगों ने अभी सुन ही लिया होगा, I talk so much. So I've always spoken my heart out. I've never had the apprehension of saying this is a window story, and there are times when I've said that this is a window product, just buy it, and I would put it on the window. So in Alan Solly, when it was very local, everything is in India. By local I mean in India. And so I used to interact with designers, and we used to sit while they were brainstorming, and our designing, the window display designing used to start from their designing part, their research part. We used to sit and research together. So you have a say in everything. Even if you think the operation needs to improve somewhere, like the sales and operations team, go ahead, tell them. And till the time you're not hurting anyone's sentiment, and the way out to speak, people will appreciate. People will never pull you down. So it's a very, and that ways, I mean, there is no restriction to call sir, madam, and all of this in the industry. So just feel free, just be yourself.
Yeah. Okay. So how can we become a store manager from the VM, or vice versa? Like, should we do it?
I would suggest, see, these are two different career paths. So if you want to experience operations, then go for a store manager role. So for a store manager role, you would be hired as a sales associate first, and then a supervisor, and then a store manager. And for a visual merchandiser, you will be hired as a cluster visual merchandiser, and then as an area, and then as regional, and then you can go on and on. But these are two different career paths. I will not, and these are very these are horizontal growth. So, you should always aim at vertical growth and not horizontal growth. You should only aim at horizontal growth when you have reached a life, you have reached a career path in your life, like when you see that you're almost touching the ceiling, then you look for a horizontal growth. But otherwise, I would always suggest, as a I mean, with whatever experience that I have, I would always suggest take a vertical growth rather than taking a horizontal growth. So these are two career paths. Try to keep them separate. If you want to experience both side of it, um, do that. But then again, please remember that the experience in the other one, so if you become a store manager and then you jump into VM, from there you're you start with zero. So you start with a cluster VM. And if you become a regional visual merchandiser and you want to become a store manager, then from store, probably they might, with your experience as a regional visual merchandiser, you have 5-10 years of experience, probably they might take you as an assistant store manager, or as a supervisor. But again, you literally start from zero. So I would not suggest to do that.
Okay. Okay. So does VM classify customers in terms of population? And if yes, then how does this affect?
No, we don't target a population. We target a we target a segment, not I wouldn't call it a population. Population is a larger term, uh, because retail is very sensitive towards terms. So I'm saying that we would say a segment. So if you see Puma is majorly targeting people who are in their early 20s, and we have products of all range. So I wouldn't say that financial background is a limitation. But then yes, there are certain products which are targeted to certain consumers. So while we have a lot of college going consumers who come to our stores, there are a lot of people from 30 plus also who come to our store, and they are our loyal customers, and they would only buy a product which is 10K or 15K, something like that, or a motorsports section which is primarily a little more mature customer. And then again, when I'm saying mature, it doesn't mean in terms of age, but it means in terms of your thinking, in your dressing, because it's not a very hip hop style. It's or a very millennial style. It's more about dressing up a little more neatly. So yeah, we do target. And if I have to answer this question in terms of other brands, everybody targets only a market segment. They don't target a population. So if you see, in large format terms, so if I have to compare a Shopper Stop versus a Lifestyle versus a Central, why Lifestyle today is doing extremely good is because they have got a very smart measure of doing their target market, and they are targeting the young crowd. So when you go to a shop, you should see what what type of merchandise they keep, and then compare with the other brand, or other competition brand. Then you will be able to see what is the exact target market. So Lifestyle is targeting a very young, vibrant consumer, while if you see Shopper Stop has now revived a lot of things, but I mean, until very late, they were still targeting their loyal consumers, which were who were actually now 40 plus. They started gaining them 20 years back, and now they are almost 40 plus. So they don't have a loyal bank consumer of new customer who is in their 20s.
Okay. Is there any budget limit in creating the window? I think you've taken this up while you were telling the PPT, right?
Yes, we do have. So we get a budget for the entire year, and then we do our budgeting. So we sit on everything, how many stores we are going to open this year, because you are going to spend on new hangers, new mannequins, new fixtures, new window display, everything. So new store opening budget is separate. Then there is every repair and maintenance work. Then there, you divide your budget, and then you have you divide that this is my window cost also. And in that window cost also, you further bifurcate that window 1 versus window 2, which is your most important window. So like for a Indian scenario, if I have to see, and most of the brands, it's not only relevant for Puma, but most of the brands perform very well in the second half of the year, because of a lot of functions. We have most of our festivals in second half. We have a lot of marriages in the second half because the weather is good. So, while you are in retail, you need to keep all your five senses open and understand what is going in the market. So, all your festivals, all your marriages, all your even college festivals, because of the weather, happens in the second half. So we spend our budget is then divided into all the quarters, quarter 1, 2, 3, 4, and then which window. So again, post EOSS, it becomes very, post end of season sale, it becomes very important. The consumer has already bought a lot of thing in the sale. Why will he or she come back to your store? You need to give a reason. So you need to have a solid window to call them back, just to lucrate them with your window display. So yeah, we work on a budget.
Okay, so we'll just take up 2-3 more questions.
Sure.
I think many people, many students especially, have got inspired from this VM concept. So a lot of them are asking me, what qualification should we have to become a VM?
Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad that, and we actually need a lot of good people in the VM industry. See, ideally, if you have the zeal and the enthu, and you want to work towards it, I would suggest honestly that take a diploma or a degree in this visual merchandising course. And if you are from a design background already, you need not worry. So if you are from a management background, then learn a little bit of VM. So you can do a diploma course and know the software. So in India, we work on CorelDRAW and Photoshop to a large extent. Okay, CorelDRAW is like, it's like water. Okay, you can live without food, but you can't live without water, right? So it's like water. So please learn Corel by heart. And Photoshop is another thing which you must know if you want to become a designer. If you just want to pursue in execution, then CorelDRAW is a must. But if you want to become a designer, so learn CorelDRAW, which is, I said, it's water. It's the most necessary thing. But do learn Photoshop as well. These two are sufficient enough. But nevertheless, there are a lot of softwares. You must learn all of them. It would help you, to make your CV stronger. But these two for sure. And a diploma or a degree course in VM helps to, pitch in, because the first criteria that the the HR looks forward is that do you have, do you have a design VM background or not? So it does help.
Okay, Richa, Mr. Shashwat will not leave us because he has retyped this question. Can you please explain POCO and the other 3 again to him?
Okay, so COCO, the first format is COCO, company owned, company operated, where the company owns the store and it is operated. So the area manager, the sales staff, the everything is from the company. So the cost is completely company. So like a store like 100 feet, Puma 100 feet is a COCO, company owned, company operated store. Now, company owned doesn't mean I own the property. I would have rented or leased the property, but I'm saying it is owned and operated by the company. Then there is something called franchisee owned, company operated store, which is my Brigade Road store. So when you go to a Brigade Road store, it is a franchisee owned store. So for a sheer fact that I don't know how many of you know the real estate in Bangalore and how it works, but Brigade Road, you cannot rent a property. Nobody can rent a property. It is already leased out to another person, and you need to rent from that person. So they don't give you on rent. They say, give me a share. So that's, that's where we have come to a franchisee owned and company operated store. So so while the company is operating the store, the company pumps the merchandise, the company takes all the decision related to sales and VM and everything, and it is one of my key most store in Bangalore, if you see. But at the same time, the franchisee is paying the sales staff, the franchisee is paying the rent for that property. So the franchisee is paying the electricity bill for that property. So that's a FOCO. Now there is a concept called franchisee owned, franchisee operated store. So these are stores, down south. These used to exist. Now in Puma, they don't exist. Where the the rent, the sales staff, everything will be bought by the franchisee. At the same time, even the merchandise that Puma is sending to the store will be franchisee's accountability. So it is on his head how to sell and sell that product. So while we support the franchisee with the window display and other communication, but the major thing which goes around is what is the proposition. So if suppose a merchandise doesn't sell at your full at 100 rupees, which is the MRP, and I want to sell it at 20% off, which you would see in so many stores, the franchisee will say, no, I want to give only 10% off. So that becomes a that is because it's a franchisee owned, franchisee operated store. So it is the decision of the franchisee, which we need to respect. Now there is another concept called COFO, so company owned, franchisee operated, which is not in Puma books, and most of the brands do not work in this format because it's a very lump sum format where the company owns the store. So the company pays the rent, the sales staff and everything, and the franchisee operates the store. Now this happens only in scenarios where suppose extreme east, if you go, we are not very well versed with the scenario. And since we are based in Bangalore, our reach is to the local, to the extreme local, would not be that strong. So we tell the franchisee that, okay, you don't spend a penny in this, we will pay the rent, we will pay our sales staff, we will give everything to you, we will even give the merchandise, but you do the operation. So the franchisee will then have a say कि यहाँ पे 20% off होना चाहिए, 30% off होना चाहिए, या this merchandise should come to the store or not, or something else should come to the store, or this staff should be working or not, which is actually very dicey for a company, because then you don't have a say. So most of the companies don't work on this format, but these are the 4 formats which the retail industry works on.
Okay, can we do visual merchandising online? Like, can we have any online shop experience? Is it possible?
I don't think any brand, or you can't actually. How can it's called visual merchandising, because visually you can see, right? But how will you experience the merchandise? So I keep seeing all these websites, and there was a website, something done by Mia from Tanishq, which was very very intimidating in my time. I mean, 8-9 years back, when I'm saying where now it's very simple, you have a model and you can dress her up and all of that. But back in those days, you can select your face cut, you can select your ears, you can select the length of your hair, and you can select the type of earring, or the type of bangle, and you can select the skin color, all of that. And this is back 8-9 years back, and it was really a wow thing. But then again, you can't they try to give that visual merchandising experience, but you can't possibly touch, feel, and the joy of sheer holding that thing, when you really want to shop, and you want to really, you want to see, you can't wait for 2 days for something to come to you. So that's visual merchandising. When you went to probably just buy one t-shirt and you end up buying bags and bags of shopping, that's visual merchandising.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll take up the last question for today's session, and I'm really sorry for the people we couldn't answer. Please, you can mail up your questions and we will mediate and give you the answers, whatever Richa tells us. So the last question for today is, Richa, as many brands are now going towards sustainability, will Puma ever go in that direction? Any plans?
We already started. There is a collection called First Mile, which is in our stores. 100 Feet has that collection. So we have done that in a smaller capsule format. We wanted to see how Indian consumers are, reacting to that. And post that, we will go ahead. So autumn winter has a lot of sustainable products.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, Richa. It was a wonderful session. And I mean, I'm getting like a lot of appreciation messages. I'll forward that to you.
Sure.
Wonderful information. We were lucky to have you with us today. Vogue
Thank
is
you.
thankful. And I mean, this webinar was just a medium, for our students to get the basic idea of different fields. And VM was one another successful topic. Thank you so much, Richa. Hope we associate for further things. Yeah. With you.
For sure. Thank you, Shraddha. It was good to connect, and thank you, guys. I'm sure you all have been a very patient audience, and I was so glad to answer so many questions that popped up, and it really shows that I think I'm going to gain some VM from this session.
Sure,
So
sure.
I'll be happy to see a lot of VMs.
Richa, last information.
Yeah, Mr. Vijay.
From last almost 7-8 years, I being the head of the institute at Army, we were promoting visual merchandising and window dressing, window display. We were participating in the international competition. There is a World Series competition in visual merchandising.
All right.
It was a lot of India from last. This program is conducted alternate years. Last year it was in Russia. Next year it will be in China.
All right.
And last year when I visited your office in CMH Road, I had a very long discussion with human resource head and also one of your colleagues. We tied up for training students in the visual merchandising area to represent our country, because I seen the format of Western VM and also Indian VM training, because in the international competition, execution also to be done by the visual merchandiser. Not only creating the windows and also execution work to be done by that. Some of our students now they are working in Adidas as VM head,
Okay.
who represent the country also. Now, because of COVID, we could not pursue this year. Next year, I think we may take your support to train the students of Bangalore. So therefore, they can represent our country and participate in international competition, which will conduct at the elsewhere also.
Sure. I would be happy to be there. Yeah, sure. I'll be happy to help.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Richa. Okay, guys. So, please join us for our tomorrow's session again with Ms. Roshni. Hope to see you all tomorrow once again, and thank you so much, Richa.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye.